Hey yo, this is another video. So let's go. All right. I've come into some. Oh yeah. I'm just gonna go ahead and I don't gotta explain it. I know what's going on, so I have no fear, but for anything. But yeah. So this video itself, I was able to go to this artist's studio. Um, what else? Go to a lot of different places with correlation or what could have or should have been. I'm gonna go ahead and say it with Sun Ra. I know if you know who Sun Ra is, he's a great composer of different types of music, but most people look at him as in jazz format. So I mean, as in Jimi Hendrix and Sun Ra and a lot of different other. So we might have seen something close to this in our time, but nothing ever came to fruition for it. What I mean is the Soulquarians, like the Soulquarians, like, and they say the neo soul thing, but a lot of them don't like that title neo soul. It was just I'll just say soul music. It was a collection of people, so a collection of artists. So they know how to break them up and make them busy so that they can't do certain things. And I have a sign right now. What I'm saying is right and exact. I say. But anyway, it's not important. Well, it's important to me today that this is happening, but it's not. I'm not going to say when this is happening. So, where I'm at is a place where a lot of people will come and visit. It's my first time actually here. So let me give you a little clue about it. Yeah, so while I was here, like I was doing some spiritual things, and if you in the area and you can do your spiritual thing, give reverence or say what up or whatever, like play some music, or if you do listen to his music, I would play it, whatever. But that would be he would really like that, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, come out and say what up. He's our people, our folks, highly melanated people. But yeah, I've come across something also with Jimi Hendrix and some more artists. But I'm gonna hold that. I'm gonna hold it. You know what I'm saying? It's better held sometimes than always said. So, cause I have a what do you call it? I have a group of something, or I would say, like my biggest hater has become one of, or not just on here. I mean in life, period. I'm not talking about YouTube or anything like that. This is like part of the ethers, but this is what I mean is this is something totally different, like in a spiritual warfare realm. What I'm saying is, but yeah, I don't want to. I'm gonna push this back around a certain time I want to do it. So when I put this out, I love that song. Fly, oh my sweet angel. Child. Well, not the blues one. That's about like 15 to 17 minutes long. This is the Voodoo Child Slight Return. Slight Return. If you know, you know. Read past the lyrics. Well, since I'm here, I was gonna make a video on this another time. But I'm gonna do it right now. So one thing I've noticed, right now, peep this. 3 actual people of significance of the changing of the minds of our people. We have, of course, while I'm here, Jimi Hendrix. We have Chad Pimp C Butler, and we have Khalid Abdul Muhammad. Right? You're like, what do those three have in common? Well, number one, well, two out of the three, from what I know of, I don't know about the other person. Jimi Hendrix and Chad Pimp C Butler, they both have sleep apnea. Check, right? That's number one. But all three have this thing in common. They all pass with a woman by their side, right? In their bedroom or in their living quarters. The woman was actually there to give the testimony or something, giving some type of their side of the story of what happened while they were there, right? Okay, check, big check. So two things, another two out of the three have in common. Well, Chad Pimp C Butler went to, what I found this out years ago, went to Master P to finance something for Khalid Muhammad, the Million Youth March that happened. He was talking to Master P, and that's how Master P financed that. I didn't know. I found this out a few years ago. I was like, man, that's very intricate, because I remember Pimp C had this lyric. He said, not Malcolm, but I'm riding on the X. Like he's always in Dallas. I think there's a Malcolm X Street in Dallas. But if I'm not mistaken, I know it's one in Detroit too. Also, I know it's one in Dallas and Detroit. I know it for sure. So, but when that Million Man March, but you got to think about it. Well, not the Million Man, but the Million Youth March. But the thing is, the whole thing with Master P and Pimp C. Remember, come to find out, a lot of people in the white folks or crackers in the industry bankrolled Master P. Because you can sell all those records back then, or you can be so popular. Why can't you do the same thing now? Because they were pushing a certain agenda or a certain message for him to put out at that certain point in time, right? Okay, I'm getting somewhere with this. Now, why would they all have those things in common? I don't know if Khalid Muhammad had, but I know he had a poisoning. Well, he was. So this is what Bobby Hemmett had passed on in his lectures, that Khalid Muhammad was poisoned. He was out in D.C. somewhere. He threw up in D.C. at a McDonald's first. Then he threw up again at when he was in Atlanta. Well, outside of Atlanta, he was living. And the lady that was living with him, she was supposedly, her father is a Mason. So, but the lady that was there with him, she had cleaned up the floor, cleaned up the sheets that he had threw up on and everything, right? Fun. Now this is another thing that all three have in common. Pimp C threw up. Chad Pimp C Butler threw up. Jimi Hendrix threw up, and Khalid Muhammad threw up. Check. All three checks, right? So if they all threw up, what does that tell you? Now, if two out of the three had sleep apnea, because remember, Pimp C, he was like a, as what some people that know him, he would be like up at nighttime most of the time, and daytime he would be asleep while everybody was up, and at night he would be asleep, or he would be working, doing his music or whatever he was doing. So that's one thing I've been putting in my mind, like very, very carefully. I don't talk to nobody about it. I just, gather series of facts, and it just like these things just point out to me. So they all three had something to do with changing the minds of the people. They always said, the Sufi said a long time ago, there would be a new religion that's not a religion based, but it will be through music. And the music, everybody loves music, and when they have music, you can get inside the ear. The ear is the ear is the seat of God. there's a book. I can't remember the. I usually know the guy's name right now. I can't think of it right now, but it's an author. I forgot his name, but it's the seat of God, the pineal gland, and that's the name of the book. And it explains a lot dealing with that. 10 just passed. Okay, and that was they used that number or that date in the Aliens versus Predator with Annihilate in that film. So that just shows you correlation with 9/9 or 10/10. Speaking of 9/9, Jimi Hendrix, he had an interview. I got a sign right now. Y'all can't see everything I'm seeing, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's how things happen. I understand. I've been having things trying to slow me down and stop me all day, but very focused. 9/9, 1970. He had an interview with Dick Cavett. That's what it was, Dick Cavett, and he was asking him all these questions. And those questions, these questions I'm hearing are being asked by like people from the government, and they ask them through a person. They can ask them in a comedic way to loosen the person up there that's asking the question. So he was asking them about, do you know how to read music? I'm like, you gotta think about this. Why would you ask somebody? Have you ever asked any other artists that come up there? Do they know how to read music? Because when he asks you that, they want to know, is it a feeling, or are you musically trained to play like that? When you're trained, you try to think of all the notes and da 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 and counting this time. But when you feel it, that's unstoppable. You can't stop a feel. A feel is something that you can't recreate, or you can't be taught. So if that is the case, listen, if you ever watched it, it's like 3 parts on YouTube, but it's a DVD actually out of the actual whole interview of him sitting there, and he's actually performing. I don't have the DVD, of course, but at this very moment, but it's out there. So if you, I'll put this out way along, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, but if you hear what I'm saying, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's on YouTube. The interview was actually on September the 9th. Okay, let's keep going. So when you're able to get into the minds of the youth, now think about it. Everything changes through what? The youth. And when everything changes to the youth, you're able to change the course of their thinking. So if Khalid Muhammad had a Million Youth March, he was trying to do something to change. If you change the youth, you can change the future. So when you have musicians, they can do that. They get inside the ear with music. You gotta tell them what they can and can't say, or tell them what they can and can't play. Or if you don't like the album they put out, you gotta make them go back to the drawing board, or you just don't come out with the album at all and shelve them. Or hint, Bilal, what was it called? Love. I never even heard the album because I didn't want to hear it bootleg. I just rather hear it when it came out. He presented it. Love for Sale is the name of the album. A lot of people heard it. I only heard like 2 or 3 songs when he performed it. I'm like, I don't even want to hear the album because he didn't present it to everybody. The label just put it out so people can hear it, so the album won't be able to come out. They know when certain things can change the minds of certain things, certain people. So they'll either put, like, if you look at even the Tupac Shakur album, the album called Strictly for My Niggas. That album, if you listen to it, like a lot, another thing that Bobby Hemmett pointed out to me is he's a teacher, occult teacher, OCCULT. That means that which is hidden. Occult. That means that which is hidden. He pointed out a lot of the artists in Motown were getting followed by the government. They had like, not the artists, but the music. They had a certain group of musicians they would always use for artists, but they noticed they will always be followed, but they will always turn their sound down. So when artists make their music, the music, it gets turned in, but it gets mastered and engineered also, so they can always turn the actual sound down. So if you listen to that album, and that was like what, 1993. 93 is a number of what? Aiwass, Aiwass, AIWASS. Aiwass is what? An angel from you can find in the book of the law, by Aleister Crowley. Aiwass came out with that book. Aleister Crowley never he said he never said he wrote it, but he wrote it through his body, his physical body. So Aiwass, as you can find from Sumerian text, Aiwass would be I don't want to give away too, or he would be looked at as Horus or Heru, but Heru or Horus goes through different changes throughout the mythological lifespan. So Thoth. But anyway, I have a thought, but let's keep going. So if they turned down Tupac strictly for my niggas, that means it was something he was saying in order, if it's not loud. Remember Jimi Hendrix said, we play our music loud so we can get inside the inner ear of the person that's listening to our music. He said nowadays bands are playing their music so loud, but it's so shrill. It's just loud, but it's not loud to where you trying to get a certain format of a sound, but it's just loud. Like if you hear like heavy metal, it's like the screaming and stuff, like it's, you know what I'm saying, certain people like it. I'm not finna knock it, I'm just giving an example, but that's just loud. It's not loud as in getting the point across. So when they turn down strictly for my niggas, why would they do that? Because it would do what? Change the people's hearing. Like change what the people would hear. And if they hear it differently than what it was supposed to be meant to hear. Because every time I would put the CD in, I'm like, why is it so low? Why is it always so low? And I would put it to the max, and it would be lower than all my other CDs. But there's a reason behind everything. So when you have artists that come out and they have no control, creative control or financial control or time control, when certain things can come out, what happens? You don't get the message out that you're trying to get because it gets manipulated. Okay, I'm not gonna say too much about a lot of things. I think but that's very important or pertinent. But I wanted to get those points out. And Jimi Hendrix, he when he said that was actually on that actual show with the Dick Cavett show. So remember, when you're getting people to laugh, you're getting people to open up because they're breathing. They was like going like they was doing like a him and Dick Cavett. He said, oh, I don't mean to pry. And then Jimi Hendrix did with his arms, like he was prying something open with a crowbar. So then Dick Cavett saw it. You can look at his face. He's like, he saw what he was doing, but that's what they were doing. It wasn't Dick Cavett prying. That was the government that was prying. So he died from what? He had threw up in his sleep too. Jimi Hendrix, Khalid Muhammad, and Pimp C, they all threw up while they were asleep. And so they'll send certain people to kill certain people, and certain people will be around certain people. But from what I've heard from for Pimp C, I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. It was given to me, and I'm going to go ahead and put it out. And I can never stop or shut out the ancestors when they tell me to say something. So I'm just going to say it. DJ Paul, the last person he was with before he threw up and died, was DJ Paul from 3 6 Mafia. He was over his house in L.A. And then we said, man, we had me and Pimp C. We had some drinks. Number one rule when you in the music industry: do not accept drinks. Do not accept certain things that go into your bodily form. Either you eat before you get there, or you drink what you bring there. Because a lot of people might get, hey, if you want to live this life, we got to do what we say. Because they can manipulate, they build you up to bring you down. That's what you have. Extra, Hollywood, all these TV shows, they build these people up, and then when they start going down, what happens? Hold on. It might take about a day, but we can travel by dragonfly. That's one of Jimi Hendrix's lyrics. So when you see it, it's a sign. I just wanted to let y'all see that really quick. So when he was like, they build you up just to bring you down. They said, oh, they were doing so well, and then they lost all their money, or they had financial problems, or they had tax evasion. Hint, another bomb. Come to find out, I found this out years ago, that the Isley Brothers and Jimi Hendrix are actually related. So from me, the answers gave me this. I feel like he was, I was given to me that he was, that Isley or Ron Isley was trying to figure out what happened to Jimi Hendrix. And they said, hey, since you did that, since you can't give you something that's just out there in the public, we're gonna just give you tax evasion. That's what they did in the mob. When they can't find anything on you, they know they got you, but we'll just give you tax evasion. Same thing. It's the same thing happened with Wesley Snipes, Khalid Muhammad, and what's his name? They all had a compound built out in Georgia. What's his name? I can't think of his name right now. Dr. Malachi Z. York. Dr. Malachi Z. York. It was Dr. Malachi Z. York, Wesley Snipes, and Khalid Muhammad. They all had a compound building, was trying to get something going. But Malachi Z. York, come to find out, was an agent for them. So you have all this stuff built, and then they build up a leader, and then all these people following this leader, and then when the leader, something happens where he's touching kids or whatever, and then when he goes in, he said yes, he signed his name saying yes, he did this, and then he goes to jail. These people go away, and then all these people that's following these people, then they said it lost without a leader. That's why you're never supposed to have a leader. You are your own leader. You are your own deity, your own higher self. But when you do that, now when the leader is gone, it's like sheep lost in a pasture full of wolves and lions. What's gonna happen? Getting taken down for the slaughter. And that's what happened. That's what's happening now. They spread out everywhere, and then people still trying to figure out what he was saying. But you got to be your own deity. They need the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, I need scientists. I don't need people to follow me. That's the followers, they're gonna follow. I need people that's gonna change certain things. Change, chaos. Jimi Hendrix was a chaotic musician. Everything people say when he was around, he was very quiet, timid, or whatever. When he got on stage or he was making his music, everything was chaotic. The women were screaming. When they're screaming, that means the energy goes up. All these different things, these calculations of different things, they got to get rid of what can change the minds of the youth. If they can change the minds of the youth, then what? Religion, the government, they have no way of controlling that. So if the only way to control it is what? Put them in the music industry and do what? Change or manipulate what they're trying to do, or kill them, or put them in jail, or take all their money away, or make them homeless. All these things. Charlie Wilson, he was homeless. He had to go marry a white woman before he had to go get back. Snoop Dogg, who was a Mason too. I don't care. Like I'm supposed to have been up out of here. My ancestors are the only ones that's been around me my whole life, and you never know it until you really start learning. So Snoop Dogg, I got a video out talking about how Snoop was at Nipsey Hussle's memorial, putting up Masonic signs with his hands and his gestures, and then nobody knows what he's doing because he's what do you call it? He's very what's the word, man? He's very good with talking to people to where he can he kind of manipulate people, and people was laughing the whole time, but he was using hand gestures of Masonic, like giving the whole what do you call it, the salute like the army does, like he did that. All these different things he did with his hand. He did the one finger up with his right hand. Come on, man, it's what I'm saying. They can control these things because Tupac and Biggie, they last thing they said was Snoop Dogg kept asking me, was I going to Vegas? Snoop Dogg was asking me, was I going to LA? That was the last things they kept saying. They said very minute, and it's out there. So if I can see it, nobody else is looking for it, but certain people is catching it. But that's what I'm saying. They'll put certain people, if you want to live this life, and like I said with DJ Paul, he had poison. He poisoned Pimp C to where he threw up. Because This is Pimp DJ Paul gave the account. He left his house after they had drinks that night. He went back to his hotel back in Hollywood, across the street from the Laugh Factory, and the lady that was with him said when he threw up, this is what DJ Paul said, he threw up blood like somebody shot him in the back of the head. There was blood everywhere. I'm like, how do you know this? You giving an account of something like the only mainly police would know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to think about this. So in order for us as highly melanated people to make a change, we got to take things out of the hands of these so-called people that are trying to run things. And you know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm gonna say, man. But I want to say big ups to Jimi Hendrix. Big ups to Jimi Hendrix. And I finally got to come out here, and it's been an amazing day. The day has been splendid, off the chain, man. It's been lit all day. You know what I'm saying? So for the youth, if you hearing this, if you making hip hop music, whatever type of music you making, and you enjoying it, do it, and don't put it in the hands of other people. Hugin, Munin. When you see the raven, you know what time it is. So don't quit trying to get signed, man. They trying to sign you so they can control you. I remember this is one of the last things. This is like, it kind of is, it's very relevant, but you know, I remember the baby. He said something. He said, you know, he was like, I don't really listen to his music, but I remember hearing him say this. He was like, he said, yeah, he's very intelligent. When I hear him talking, every once in a while, I hear some stuff, and I'll be like, oh, that's dope. So like, I remember he was saying, he said, if I was a person, I would sign him. But he said, I really didn't want to have a label, but I was made to have a label. Who's making you have a label? That's like small, intricate things like that. Like, who's making you have a label? You can put out as much music as you want, because when you get a label, your music slows down. So when your music slows down, then they gotta listen to somebody else. When they listen to somebody else, then when you slow down, you gotta do more. You gotta do those dates, those get rehearsal dates. Then you gotta have those show dates. Then your music gets slowed down. That's what Nipsey Hussle said. He said, man, I remember for the last couple of things, I've seen some interviews, or when he was in the studio, he said, man, it's been a while since I've been in the studio. I've been doing all these interviews and these radio spots and all of this, and he shows I gotta get back into the groove of the music. That's what I'm saying. They keep you so busy to the point where you cannot even do your job that you really supposed to be doing. Is to be the muse of making the music. You can change the course of things by being the muse and making the music. You know, of course you get paid doing those live shows, good money, but when you're making more music, you're able to have more control of what you're putting out. But when you under these labels, they can control you and say, you got to be here to this and that. One last thing I just remember, the last shows Jimi Hendrix was doing, it was his itinerary schedule for his shows was like, usually they have shows like in the same state, going to the state next to each other, but they were going like from state across the country to another state, from across the country to all across the country. They were trying to keep him so busy. He said, I'm tired of trying to remember what I've been trying to play, what I've played already. I want to spend more time making more music, so like making new music, new sounds. He said, but I've been so busy doing these shows, it's like I can't even really make any music. But he has a lot of music that came out after he passed. That was the music that he was trying to, that's why he had like such a break from 1968 to 1970 when he passed. He was trying to get his sound down. They don't want that. So when you're doing that, they want you busy. They want you busy because you can't make new music and control your sound and have you can get in people's ear, and you can change the minds of the youth. Because if they can't control the youth, because you know why? Because it comes from the musicians. Like they said, like I said earlier, when there's not going to be a religion that changes things, the new religion will become music. And that was from like they say, the woolly-haired ones. When the woolly-haired ones, those are they looked at as the Moors, or I forgot the guy's name. I think his name was Shah something. He was one of the ones that he was the one that had actually said it in one of his books, and it was a line he had said. The new religion will come from music and not from actual religion itself. The muse will become the more powerful than the actual church or actual housing of the religion that these people had go to. All right, so that was a long video. I didn't think this video gonna be that long, but it was meant to be said. Everything was purposefully said, and I'm grateful I got to put it out. All right, kill God. God doesn't love highly melanated people, because you know why? If God can control people, what happens? Then nobody can raise themselves up, and the reality will change. But remember, you can't control everything, and the ones you can't control, I remember Tupac said, "Am I wrong for trying to struggle for change?" He said, "In order for you to have power, there has to be a struggle. There has to be a struggle in order for you to have a change. If everything is good, there's no struggle." All right? And on that note, I will leave you with this. Kill God, because God doesn't love highly melanated people. Ashe. Niggas. Oh yeah. Far north. That's all I'm going to say.